Okay. Hello, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started. So good evening, students, and congratulations on your acceptance to UC Berkeley. Woo! So my name is Daisy Gamero, and I'm going to be, and by the title of the panel, you can see that we'll be covering the UC Berkeley perspective from a student of color. So first off, we're going to be introducing the moderators of this panel. So hi again, my name is Daisy, and I will be moderating this Q&A by asking our panelists your questions. We also have Alexa, who's going to introduce herself right now.
Hi, everyone. My name is Alexa Gill. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the K-12 Recruitment Director of Bridges, and I will be helping to moderate this panel as well.
Perfect. Okay, so now I'm going to quickly give you a run through of what the panel is going to look like. So first, we're going to have the panelists introduce themselves. Then we're going to be asking 2 introductory questions so that you can get to know our students a bit more. And as this is going on, you can use the chat room to start listing out your questions that you have for your panelists, right? And so our panelists, they're going to introduce themselves. And then if you have specific questions for specific folks, you can just make sure you note that down in your questions. And then the rest of the panel will revolve around answering the questions that you have, right? And lastly, if you could please fill out a feedback form after this Q&A, that would be really good. So Alexa's going to link that down in the chat room in a bit. Okay, so let's get this thing rolling. We have 13 panelists, and if y'all could introduce yourselves one by one. So please say your name, pronouns, year, major. And then briefly, your involvement in Bridges and explaining what your position is.
So hi, my name is Angela Lewenko. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a 4th year and I study integrative biology. I am the current Bridges Retention Director, so I am in charge of providing different kinds of holistic wellness resources, academic, professional, and just different ways to retain our students of color on campus.
I don't really know how Zoom works yet, but I'll just go next. My name is Jenny Cortez. I use the she series, so she, her, hers. I'm a 4th year, so going into my last year, but technically I'm gonna take another semester, so I'll be joining you in the fall for my last semester. And I'm majoring in ethnic studies with a minor in education, and I am this year's outgoing executive director for Bridges.
Hi, my name is Diana Garza. I go by she, her. I'm a 3rd year majoring in chemical biology, and I'm currently the Bridges finance director, so I basically maintain all the finances in the coalition.
I could go. Hi, y'all. I'm Sharon, she, her, hers. I am majoring in social welfare with possibly a double major in Native American Studies. I am currently part of INC, the Indigenous and Native Coalition, and my position in Bridges is being the wellness coordinator for INC, and I plan different holistic wellness events that help center the wellness of our Native community on campus.
Hello, my name is Roman Loera. I am a transfer student. My pronouns are the he, him, his series. I'm a political science major, and I am representing INC, and I'm the executive director. Thank you.
Hi all, my name is Yara Mawad. I'm the transfer recruitment director for MENA. I'm a Soc major, transfer 3rd year, and I go by she, her, hers. And I go away. Sorry, I got distracted. I basically go to community colleges and help transfer students with their UC applications.
Hi everyone, my name is Roya Jandupour. I use the she, her, her series, and I'm a 4th year. I'm studying molecular and cellular biology, and I'm the senior weekend director for the Middle Eastern North African Retention Recruitment Center. basically senior weekend would have be put on if Rona didn't happen. Rip, it's fine. But basically what senior weekend is we bring low income first gen students to come and tour the campus, get to participate in a bunch of different events surrounding housing, financial aid, all that stuff. But in place of that, we're doing virtual Cal Week, so that's all good.
Hi everyone. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
My name is Angel. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm a third year poli-sci student. I'm representing MRCs or Mixed at Berkeley, and I'm the co-K-12 recruitment director, which basically means that we recruit K-12 students. So like usually high school students, bring them to do like campus tours or like a shadow day, or sometimes we give presentations directly at those schools.
Hi
Hello.
everyone,
Oh,
my name
go
is
for it.
Hillary. I'm a first year and I use the She Her series. I'm with REACH, which is the API Recruitment and Retention Center, and I am majoring in computer science.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jen. Jen Slosberg. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I am a third year. I'm studying political science. I am currently a part of Mixed at Berkeley, same as Angel. We specifically serve students who identify as first gen, low income, and mixed, which is two or more cultures, ethnicities, or races. And I am the current executive director, so I basically support our team in making sure the org stays organized and that we all communicate. And yeah, thank you for coming today.
Hi everyone, my name is Michael. I use the him, his pronouns. I'm a third year transfer student from Diablo Valley College. I'm studying political science and I have I'm pursuing a minor in education as well. I'm part of PASS, which is the Filipinx Academic Student Services. I'm a recruitment intern. So under the recruitment director, our component works closely with other staff in PASS to empower underserved students, particularly those who are Filipinx identifying.
Hi, my name is Reven. I am a fourth year studying geography and media studies with a minor in education. I am also involved with the Filipinx Academic Student Services Recruitment and Retention Center. Throughout my 4 years of being an undergrad, I have been generally volunteering with PAST and a lot of mostly programming, so weekend outreaches, local outreaches, etc. And I use the he, him, his series pronouns.
Hi, my name is Ozzy. I'm a second year majoring in data science. I use the he, him series, and I work with Raíces Linux community, and I work with the K through 12 committee to look outreach to high school students.
And I think I'm last. Hi, everyone. My name's Pedro. I'm a current third year. I use he, him, his. I'm majoring in political science and English, and I've been an intern/volunteer for Raíces, and I helped with the senior weekend committee, and I was also one of Jenny Cortez's interns when she led the outreach committee.
I'll go. Hi, my name is Sarah Medicine Crow. I am a senior at UC Berkeley, and my pronouns are she, hers. My major is Native American Studies, and I am the retention coordinator for the Indigenous and Native Coalition. Happy to be here.
I think we might be next, so we can go together. We actually are co's, so we work together for one position for Raíces Retention and Recruitment, which is one of the 7 RRCs at UC Berkeley. We primarily serve the Latinx community, and we actually just finished our own programming event, which is why we're sitting in uniform clothing. But my name is Cristina. I use she, her, hers pronouns. I'm a third year studying political science and ethnic studies, and I'm also on the K-12 team, on the Raíces team as a K-12 coord.
And my name is Millie. I use she, her, ella pronouns. I'm a third year studying political science and legal studies, and I am the co for our Raíces Recruitment and Retention Center as the K-12 Recruitment and Development Co-Coordinator.
Okay, awesome. And I think that's everyone. So these are all of our panelists. Just a reminder, if y'all do want to if y'all want to ask any questions during the Q&A, please put them in the chat room. So the way that you access that is that in the Zoom, like right below there's like a chat that has like 3 dots. And if you just click on it on the right side, it should show you like the chat room. But yeah, okay, so we're gonna get started with the first two questions that we have.
Daisy, do you mind if I hop in real quick?
Yes.
Yeah, so we're actually gonna ask our panelists to hold off on answering questions because we're gonna go ahead and like synthesize anything that comes in and ask, yeah, if you can hold off on answering them through the chat, that's completely fine. Yes, it's fine if you've already answered them, but we're gonna go ahead and wait till later just so that we're not distracting from others' answers. Cool, thank you. And Daisy's gonna get started with the first question.
Okay. So the first one is, what is one positive experience you've had as a person of color at Cal? And whoever wants to like go in, please do so.
I can answer that one. Hi, my name's Hillary once again, and one positive experience I had as a person of color at Cal is that I'm a first generation student of color. I am Cambodian American, and I come from an unrepresented background. And luckily at Berkeley, I found a community, which is REACH, the API Retention Recruitment Center. And I promise you that there's many communities within REACH or within Berkeley that would suit whoever you are or whatever identity you resonate with. And I think that there's always a place for whoever you feel like you belong. And Berkeley has now become like my second home from being away from home. And yeah, thank you.
If we could get like 3 more people, that'd be awesome.
I can go next. Yes, hello again. My name is Roman, and I can say a positive experience I had is, so I'm a Fort Mojave, a Native American, and I'm a transfer student. At my community college, there was not many indigenous or like Native programs. There was no student organization, so not much representation. However, coming to Berkeley, there's a department, there is Inc., our student org, there are classes, seminars, so there's more visibility for you as a person of color, for at least as speaking Native American. Thank you.
Yeah, I can go. I can go off of what Roman said as well. So I come from Bakersfield, which is not a very diverse area. And when I went to Cal, I found a lot of people of Middle Eastern, Northern African descent. And like most of my friends are now coming from the same background as me, and I've never had that in my life. So that was such a cool experience that Cal gave me.
And I would agree with that totally 100%, is that like, it's also community, as everyone else, I'm Jen, by the way, as everyone else here has said, the positive aspect for me has definitely been community, just like finding people who like have similar experiences and identities as you and being able to like meet them and build meaningful relationships with them through the Bridges Coalition and specifically through Mixed at Berkeley. Like I have never, before coming to college, experienced a community or space for people who identify as mixed, and that was really important for my own identity to see that that is something that can happen and is visible on campus.
Okay, so just to keep this like rolling on, for our panelists, if you could like just popcorn off people so that we can make sure that everyone is talking. Of course, if there are specific questions that you have more to talk about, then please feel free to go in. And then also for abbreviations, if you could just explain like what they mean, just so that our students know like what y'all are talking about. Okay, so for our next question, it's what is one challenge you've experienced as a person of color at Cal? And Michael, if you could start us off.
Yeah. First thing that pops up as in terms of what challenges I've experienced, both as a transfer student and as someone who identifies as a person of color, is definitely my classes. So again, I'm majoring in political science, and I think the political science department at Berkeley can definitely be really predominantly white, especially my classes. So when it comes to really contentious discussions, I feel like a lot of folks who are dominating these kinds of discussions are those who identify as white. And because of these people who are dominating these discussions, I feel really intimidated. I feel that my voice isn't as valued as theirs. So it's just that fear of giving my own voice. I think that's my biggest challenge so far when it comes to both immersing my identity in the classroom.
And Michael, you can go ahead and popcorn someone.
Okay. I'll go to Reven.
Okay. It's very similar to what Michael has said also in terms of just the classroom setting. I don't really feel like I don't really feel that I am like smart enough or to be talking like, discussing with them as well. Because for me, I came from, I'm an immigrant and I moved here. English is my second language, so I do not speak perfect English, and especially in a prestigious university like UC Berkeley, it's really hard to speak up, and it's hard for people to like listen to you. And I'm not a business major, but I've taken a lot of business classes, and a lot of the business majors are very outspoken, and they believe what they want to believe, and they speak whatever they think. And it's really hard to, like, I'm not a person who's here to debate. I'm here at Cal to learn, and sometimes the classroom setting is really hard to have that. But honestly, what really helped me as a person of color is really finding that community and support, because you're not the only one who's navigating this system. There are people who like next to you. Some people in my classrooms, I befriended them as well. I just learned to open up and realize that I am not alone. And also your professors, a lot of them, I can say that they can be very understanding. I've had a lot of professors that are POCs, people of color, and they have been supportive, especially with the whole COVID-19 going on. And they know that like as a person of color, you're and a first generation, they know, they can sympathize with what you're going through right now. So just be open and reach out. And I guess I'll popcorn, let's see, Roya, sorry.
You're good. It's Roya. No worries. Okay, what is one challenge you experience as a person of color at Cal? I don't know necessarily if this ties into my identity as a person of color, but more generally, I think a lot of students feel this as well, is imposter syndrome, kind of bouncing off what you were saying. Kind of going into Cal and feeling that you're not as smart as everyone, or you're not as capable as everyone. I think at a big university like many other UCs, it's really easy to get sucked into this notion that everyone is on top of it and everyone knows what they're saying and everyone is kind of on it more so than you are. And I just want to preface to all new admits going into Cal, going into any, that's great, my dog's barking, any university, everyone is just pretending, everyone's just trying to keep up this image of like, oh, we all know what we're doing. No, that's not the case for 90% of the time. So anytime you feel out of place, or that you're just not as smart as everyone, or you just don't feel comfortable in the space, just take a second to remember that everyone's just trying to put up a front. Everyone's just trying to go through the movements as well. So you're doing as best as you can, as best as everyone is trying to do. So yeah.
Okay, thank you everyone for sharing. So now we're going to be moving on to the live Q&A. And the first question is, what is Bridges and what does it offer? So what services does it offer and what events does it create for the community? And specifically, what does Bridges offer low-income first-gen students? So Jenny, if you can start us off.
All right, hi y'all. Like I said earlier, I am Jenny. I'm the executive director for Bridges this year. So essentially, Bridges is a multicultural resource center, and it's funny because I believe yesterday we were just talking about how like a lot of people see us as one center, but we're actually a coalition of 7 different centers. And if you include Bridges, because Bridges also, we're kind of the umbrella organization, and then everybody else has their own identity / racial or ethnic group that they really support. So there's the Black Recruitment Retention Center. There is the Indigenous Native Coalition. There is MENA, which is Middle Eastern North African Recruitment and Retention Center. MRC, which is mixed at Berkeley. Oh my God, I hope I have 2 more. PASS, no, 3 more. So PASS is the Philippines Academic Student Services. REACH is for our API students, and then we have Raíces, which is for our Latinx students. So essentially, all of us come together, and we really, like, each organization has their own mission, and each of them put on different recruitment and retention programs that are based and needed for each of their own communities. So although each of us have very similar missions, everybody does their own programming that they think would be a little bit different in order to cater the most to their community. So and things that we offer just more broadly would be like, we do study jams, and through those study jams we offer free food, because like we know that food insecurity, that like that's real, right? Like sometimes like you may not even have money to like go out and eat or like be able to buy groceries. So that's something that we're like, okay, well, you're not going to be able to be retained at this university if you don't have food in your system to be able to study, right? We offer free Scantron. So if you're a freshman coming out of high school, or like you're a freshman admit, I'm like, transfers, y'all probably already know this, but we have to buy Scantrons and green books in order to take our exams. So yes, you have to pay to take exams essentially. It's like 75 cents, but you know, these are things that like you shouldn't even have to be paying for. We also offer wellness and sexual health products as well to each of our communities, and these are things that you could go and like essentially just check out from whatever community that you feel like you you most associate with. We do recruitment programming, because right, like yes, you're admitted here, like that's beautiful and we're so proud of you, but how could we continue to make sure that students from your community are also still being provided access and resources to the knowledge that they need to be able to continue on and go into any type of higher education, right? Not just UC Berkeley. So that's kind of like, I think, a very general sense of what we do, again, because every recruitment and retention center like does their own thing for their own community, so they all differ a little bit. So specifically right now we're putting on Admit Week, which is the very first year we do this. We traditionally do something called Senior and Transfer Weekend, where we fly out low income like students of color into like the university, and we pair you like kind of with like a mentor type of program, in order for you to be able to like kind of adjust into seeing yourself at UC Berkeley. And Alexa mentioned that there is a very detailed video explaining that, so I will just be quiet now.
Okay, thank you, Jenny, so much for explaining that. So we're gonna be moving on to our next question. Okay, this one, we kind of covered it. So, and hold up, give me a second. Okay, so how will Bridges allow new members to engage with each other, especially with summer courses are being offered online? So if anyone feels like you got this. Maybe Jenny can take it also.
Or Jenny can popcorn someone. Another question that was related to that is, do you have to apply to be a part of our organization? So whoever would like to take this away, how do new members get involved, and do you have to apply to be a part of Bridges?
So no, you don't have to. Oh, it depends. To be specifically a part of Bridges, again, there's technically 8 centers. Every center does things very differently. There's some who do an interview process to support your professional development. There's others who just do a short application process so they could help like see what your interests are, and who like specifically under each organization, they have coordinators or directors, and like so they could just get information to see who you would work best with, or like what your interests are to kind of continue your professional development. But again, every recruitment and retention center does things a little bit differently. But the cool thing is that they do host classes for units. I believe all of us do. So you're able to essentially get an academic unit by like fellowing or interning for any of them. And they also will most likely host an info session before these applications release, so that you're able to learn more about what it means to be an intern or a fellow for them. And something that was asked earlier, or like bringing it back, is that there will be from 12 to 1, Bridges is going to have a detailed panel explaining what Bridges is, so y'all could get a little bit more information on that. But yeah.
Thank you. So another question we have is, how difficult was your transition from high school to Cal? What made your experience so difficult? And what would you recommend for us first-year students to avoid that? And if you could also add transfer perspectives. So
I guess I can share a little bit. So hi everyone again, my name is Lily, she, her, yeah pronouns. I think I also very much, as Roya mentioned, was very much in like culture shock and just the walking into campus. I think I really saw that it was like really big. And so that made it really difficult for me. I think I didn't realize the shifting in grading, right? In regards to high school, you're just kind of accustomed to a lot of homework and then exams. And if you don't do so hot, you still have your homework that makes up the grade. And when I got here, right, it was like midterm, final paper, and that was it. And so it was like you didn't really have a chance to make up for it. If you didn't do good in the first midterm, then you just had the second midterm, and if that one also flopped, then you just had to do well in the final. And so I think I wasn't very accustomed to that. I wasn't accustomed to knowing that if I got a failing grade on my first midterm, that I needed to seek help in order to do better on the next one. And so it was very much difficult for me to maneuver what that's like, what it's like to ask for help. Who do I go to? Do I go to the professor? Do I go to the graduate student that's grading my work? And so I think that really made it, like, for me, one of the aspects that made it just, I was afraid to fall into like a GPA kind of like hole that all the professors would say, like, you don't want to dig yourself in a hole because then you can't get out. And so I think I was very paranoid that that's what I was doing, and then that's exactly what I did. So I think as a piece of advice, I would just encourage you to really want to get to know your GSIs, which are the graduate student instructors that are going to be teaching your discussion sections. I think that they very much are like, they care about you, they want to see you succeed. And I think oftentimes we kind of let either like us being shy or just thinking that we shouldn't say hello simple. I think like that helps just build a relationship. And also with your professors, I think oftentimes a lot of people don't go much to the professors themselves. So when you do go, they're kind of surprised. They're like, hey, how are you? They really just want to know who you are, learn your name. And so I really would think that would be something that has helped me now in my prior years, whatever, to just kind of get to know, like, okay, I'm going to get to know my GSI. I'm going to introduce myself to the professor. And it's going to also make me feel more comfortable in class, right? Because now they kind of know me a little bit when I'm sitting there, when we make eye contact. And so I think that's something that has helped me. But I do want to recognize that it does take a lot, right? You have to really convince yourself of, I want to talk to this graduate student instructor today. And it sometimes can feel a little uncomfortable to do that.
To add a perspective that's not solely focused on academics, a lot of transition happens during this time. I'm from Napa, which is about an hour north of Berkeley. So my commuting process looked a lot different when I got dropped off in campus versus students who maybe are from SoCal or somewhere where there's a little further. It was easier for me to go home if I needed something, if I forgot something, if I had a doctor's appointment, or if my family had to come up to me for whatever reason, since I was still providing support for my family as an eldest daughter in an immigrant household. I also want to iterate that for the first time when I came to college, that was like the first time I ever had my own room. And so Berkeley allowed me to grow in a lot of different areas. Berkeley actually has this thing called the Blue and Gold Plan, which is for low-income students. If your parents make less than $80,000, you don't have much financial responsibility, which was really freeing for me because it made me financially, I guess, secure for the first time on my own. So that was really nice. They also, an extension of the Blue and Gold Plan is if they make under $100,000, you do get some type of aid. So it does help you a lot. It helped me a lot. It was also the first time that I had to navigate the heavy use of public transportation. So where I'm from, it's a lot smaller than or like a big city. So for me, getting from one place to another was more feasible to either walk there or get dropped off by, other folks or family friends, or if it was for an order club after school that way. Here, if you need groceries, if you need to go to the store, if you just want to explore campus or the surrounding city, you do get like a student bus pass that allows you to get free AC transit. So aside from academics and settling in there, you also have to recognize that the space that you're in is like your space. For a lot of us, it's hard because we've never had that. dining halls, having to interface with a lot of different people. It's a really big change. I would say that we're really rooted in community in the sense that we tend to gravitate towards one another in classes, in our dorms, and whatever that may look like. So if that's something that sounds like you, of course, do whatever makes you comfortable, but also don't be afraid, like Millie said, to say hi, to branch out. Everyone's here supporting one another, and that's what where our coalition is rooted in this. Even though we may be different, we're all working towards the same thing, so we uplift one another in different ways.
I also wanted to add on to all that, which is all great. So I actually experienced academic probation, which is if you have a GPA, any semester you have a GPA less than 2.0. So the university actually let me know that I was about to get dismissed if I hadn't changed that grade. So I just wanted to say that if you do end up going through academic difficulty, which is very real for a lot of our communities, there is support out there on the campus, specifically with the Educational Opportunity Program. Bridges actually connected me to them, and they have a seminar called Road to Resiliency, which is a special seminar that accommodates for any student, which is basically a class where students who are currently on academic probation can take it with other students who are in similar situations as themselves and be able to build community with those folks and learn together about how to find resources, how to get academic coaching on how to learn better studying tips, getting connected to basic needs resources such as like food, housing, all those things, as well as just being able to redefine what failure means, where failure is not a person, it's an event. So it's something to learn from. So when I took that seminar after I got on academic probation, it helped a lot. I actually got out of academic probation from taking that seminar. And I do know that there's a lot of community members out there that don't know about this program. And that's why I wanted to let y'all know now before y'all go into Cal, that letting you know that if you do come across academic difficulty, it is natural because you are constantly adapting to a new like academic rigor and different study habits that you might need to gain for your classes. And so just letting you know that there's an opportunity out there on campus through the Educational Opportunity Program called R2R Seminar to support students who are facing academic difficulty.
Building off briefly on what Angela was talking about resources, at Cal, we also have the Student Learning Center, which is like the SLC. And like I'm a writing tutor there, so they provide a lot of services. And I know a question was also brought up for like summer bridge or like classes being online throughout the summer. I know at least for the writing department, we're still going to be tutoring online. So when you get like your first writing assignments for like your reading or composition courses, you can actually like talk to tutors. And we do have a lot more like tutors of color, which is really helpful because I know when I first came into Cal, and even as I applied to the job, there wasn't as many tutors of color. So I felt like uncomfortable getting help from a person who maybe didn't understand like my linguistic struggles with English, because I also learned English as a second language. So I felt like my barriers with writing in English weren't similar to someone who like grew up speaking English with their parents and like have parents who are educated. So yeah, just plugging in that resource as well.
And then if we could have some transfer folks speak out for a bit.
For the question,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
So for the transition of transfer students, like transfer community college to Cal, it honestly was pretty manageable. So most community colleges really get you ready for these 4-year institutions, but imposter syndrome is still there and it's still a real thing. And there is something called transfer loneliness, which is like, it's really hard for you to build a community because, you know, we don't have that dorm experience that a bunch of like freshmen have. So I think a vital part to making a community and making your own experience out of Cal is really getting engaged in organizations and clubs on campus to help you build a support system, because I think that's what makes the transition a bit easier for transfer students.
I definitely want to highlight what Yara said about how there can be transfer loneliness. I think I would say that I'm grateful that coming to Cal, I was able to find a community even before transferring because of, my friends from high school who went straight to Cal. But I feel like as a transfer, if we really wanted to have the same easy transition of trying to find a community, I feel like we would have to be trying 10 times harder, reaching out to folks the summer before and see what resources there are for transfer students, if there are even, many transfer students, how they navigate higher education. But aside from that, for my own transition, I think as a transfer, we're definitely told that if we want to make the most out of our time at Berkeley, really have to hit the ground running. We're really only at Cal for 2 years, so it can be an extremely overwhelming feeling when you're trying to get the most out of your time here. And for me, the transition from community college at Cal academically was definitely a challenge. I thought community college would prepare me for the course load and the setting of college, but I think it's safe to say that Berkeley it's far larger as an institution, than any California community college, and the courses are far more of a difficulty. At least that's how I saw it. Back in community college, throughout my second and third year, I was really invested in my education, where I would dedicate a lot of my time towards studying, while also, doing extracurricular work to make sure that I made myself a candidate that stood out in the applicant pool. And I thought I would be able to do the same thing at Cal, where I could, find activities that I was passionate about, but also making sure that I don't mess up on my academics. I can honestly say that it's been difficult to do that. I had a lot of breakdowns last semester. I reached out to a lot of my friends, asking them how they do this, and I was really questioning myself as a student at Berkeley. Even though, I tell myself that I was accepted here for a reason, it can really get to you. Imposter syndrome was real for me, where I asked, was my experience really worth being a student here and all that sort. But I think it really just goes back to finding community, making sure that you're aware of the resources here. I made sure to really take advantage of these resources, reaching out to folks, being open about myself, being vulnerable, exposing myself and my experiences, because it doesn't hurt to let folks know what you've been through, because at the end of the day, your community is there to help you.
Thank you, everyone, for sharing. And so now we're going to be moving on to the question. So wait, hold on. We're having some difficulties. So is it possible to explore other interests, or do you feel boxed in at Berkeley? I'm wondering how possible is it to take classes in other colleges? Yes. So for some folks who haven't talked, can y'all popcorn off of each other? Thank you.
I can help answer this one. I know for other majors, like in LNS or Letters and Science and other colleges, you are supposed to take breadth classes, anything that gives you a lot of opportunity to explore other subjects that are outside your major. And like you can take more humanity classes or different classes you might be interested in. But for me, from a College of Chemistry perspective, you're kind of really boxed into what your major is. Because when you're in a College of Chemistry or maybe even the engineering college, you're kind of set for every year of what they're mostly just STEM classes that you're taking every year, math, physics, like all the science classes. You can't really go outside of that. I know for College of Chem, like you only need like 10 breath units, and a lot of students who already have their breath done from AP classes. So if you're set on like a really STEM major, it's a little more harder to spread outside for your interests. But I know like for MCB, or I saw your question said environmental science, you have more opportunity for your breadth classes to really just explore what you really like.
So for me, as a humanities major, double majoring in media studies and geography, I had fun like bouncing off different colleges and even studying abroad multiple times just to fulfill my requirements. So media studies and geography and a lot of other humanities majors are very lenient with what courses you can take. For me, I did not really enjoy media studies because I am more geared as a career. I wanted to do marketing, and besides business, media studies was the one that was closest to it. But unfortunately, like media studies was a lot of theory and a lot of like journalism, which I'm not really like into. So there was a lot of like electives that I need to do. So what I did was I studied abroad in London, just took a bunch of fun classes that I wanted to do. And if it's anything related to media, I can use that as substitution for a course requirement for media studies. That's the same thing for geography. As a double major, I also was able to take courses that can fulfill both requirements. So yeah, and like I said earlier, I did a lot of business courses, and for I was able to use that as a media studies media studies requirement. And with breadth requirements, especially if you are under letters of science, and sciences, you can just take a bunch of like science courses outside of LNS. If you want to do College of Natural Resources, you can jump off of that. Also, one thing too is I did not, like, one of my prerequisites for media studies to declare was political science, and that I went into that class and I really did not like the environment. So what I did was I enrolled I enrolled in my own community college and took political science there. So you can also take breadth requirements in your local community college. I did an online one, so I was still in Berkeley while doing my Berkeley classes and also doing my community college. So it's very, a lot of LNS is very lenient with that. So yeah.
Okay, and so is there a difference between Bridges and the programs in the Centers for Educational Justice and Community Engagement? If anyone would like to start off.
Me or Angela? I'll just say the main thing, and then Angela can add more. So the main thing is that Bridges is completely student initiated, student led, and student run. So we have 2 staff member advisors, but they make no decisions for us. They're literally just there to advise us, and we do everything as students on our own. So like our largest like recruitment programs, where we could bring up to like 500 students from all over California, we did that, we planned that, we paid for that. And so I would say that's the biggest thing. And the EJC centers, they have staff members leading everything. So essentially the staff members are the ones who decide. They might have student input, but I'm not too sure to what extent. Angela?
And yeah, to add on to that, I actually was a part of one of the EJCE offices, which was the Asian American and Pacific Islander Opposity Center. And so the difference really, what I felt was that in Bridges, everything felt more like I had the control, or I was able to do everything, like from the like looking at the funding of different programs, from planning all the logistics, from knowing what I want to talk to my advisors about, versus in Opposity or in the EJCE centers, you're kind of more guided by the directors and the staff who are leading the staff that are not students. Like, they're not students at all. They're professional staff. Not that Bridges student leaders aren't professional, but yeah. So I would say that I feel like with Bridges, and with the individual RRCs within Bridges, you have more autonomy in being able to be a part of planning the different programs and being a part of making sure more resources are accessible.
Thank you. So would anyone recommend doing Summer Bridge this year as a freshman, even though it will be online?
Another question related to that: has anyone participated in the fall program for freshmen? And if so, what was your experience like? So any insight on either of these programs?
I already answered in chat, but yeah, I was in a fall program for freshmen. I would say the positives of the experience is that it's classes are smaller, so it's a smoother transition to college, which can often have like large lecture halls, which are pretty intimidating. And you also get to build community a lot easier because there's just less people overall in the program. And it's like advisors, like college academic advisors, are more accessible. I would say that like some people also think the classes, especially the STEM classes, tend to be easier in fall program for freshmen versus like on campus. So if you're trying to get like some like STEM breadths out of the way, it may be a good option. And then also you get to know your professors a lot more easier, so it's less intimidating to go to them because they're also the ones leading your discussion section. So you know how some classes have like a lecture, which is like a bunch of people, everyone goes to absorb the material, and then you then get split up into like 20 to 30 people groups of like an additional discussion section where you get to like talk about the class material in a more intimate, like smaller setting. So in FPF, the discussion is also led by the professor in addition to the lecturer, versus on campus, the discussion is often led by a graduate student instructor, as some of us have mentioned. So because you have like more interaction with your professors, it's easier to build relationships with them and to, you know, get to know them and get their support. One con, I would say, that it's like kind of removed from campus. So it's a little bit harder for people in FPF to get like plugged into campus organizations, but you're already doing that by coming to our info stuff. So if you're proactive about like trying to find community and find organizations to be a part of, I don't anticipate that being a problem. So that was just in general kind of my experience with FPF.
I can also speak briefly on Summer Bridge. I didn't do Bridge myself when I was an incoming freshman, but I tutored for Bridge last year. So I worked with a lot of Bridgies when they were coming in. And I feel like in general, it is beneficial to do Summer Bridge just because you're like eased into Cal rather than just being thrown in your first semester. Because you can start off by taking like 2 classes, which I think is the limit for Bridge. You can take like your reading and composition class, which you might test out of, but if you don't, that's also a good way to like get acclimated to writing at Cal. And then you could take like another class, which could be another breath. And I feel like the benefit of that is that they're like smaller classes. It does tend to be first gen, low income students. So you're like surrounded by people who come from like similar cultural or socioeconomic backgrounds, which is a pro that I think of Summer Bridge. And I feel like there's still going to be like accessible resources online. So definitely if you have the option, I feel like you should try it.
Thank you, Pedro. So for our MCB majors, how is the major and what are some tips and challenges for aspiring MCB majors?
I can go. Tips and challenges. I think especially for the lower division requirements, it all depends on the professor. So make sure you do your research on the professor to see who's teaching, for example, Chem 1A, Math 10A, 10B on Rate My Professor, for example, or asking past students what their experience has been like with other professors, because they really do make or break like your experience in the class, I would say. It was fine. All the lower division classes are fine. They're obviously going to be less interesting than upper division classes, which I found really interesting. Like I took endocrinology, MCB 135A with Gary Firestone, one of my favorite MCB classes at Cal. So yeah, a lot, again, with a lot of other majors, there's gives and takes. I'm pre-med. I don't know if that person who asked is pre-med, but you definitely get into more interesting stuff later in the major when you get to take the upper division classes. So yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Roya. And so now, does Bridges offer resources such as grant scholarships to help pay for cost of attendance? And then just to follow up with that, how are middle income folks getting by? I'm aware that Berkeley does not give much aid. Is this true, false? Any advice?
So really quickly on the Bridges component, Bridges specifically will not give specific students grants. However, there are some recruitment and retention centers within the coalition that do offer some sort of scholarships. So that would be just doing more research with whichever community you identify with. But even then, within those recruitment and retention centers, their scholarships might be open to more people, even if they don't like fall under their specific like ethnic group. So like I could say like, you know, I used to be involved with RRCs, which is specifically for the Latinx community. And they used to do an undocumented student scholarship, and you could apply even if you don't identify as Latinx, right? So it would just be looking into each of your recruitment and retention centers and seeing like what opportunities they do offer for funding.
And then if anyone can speak to the second part of the question, how are middle income folks getting by? If anyone knows anything. No. Okay, that's fine. So now we're gonna open up the chat so that our panelists can answer your questions directly. So panelists, if you see like questions that like you can like answer right away, please feel free to jump in, you know, be like at student, blah, 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 blah. So yeah. And then our panel, so you can do that right now. And then also our panel will end in about 6 minutes. So we are gonna be using those last few minutes to answer like whatever questions we have left. But we just wanna thank everyone for like coming, for joining us on our Q&A. Again, this was brought to you by Bridges, the Multicultural Resource Center. But before we close, we'd like to share a practice that Bridges utilizes in its programs. And this is a land acknowledgement. And Jenny, if you can take it away.
So traditionally, we do a land acknowledgement that is provided by oh my God, I can't remember the specific name, but essentially the Native EJCE Center. NASD, duh, okay. So essentially we usually use one of their land acknowledgements, and we try to practice these at the beginning of every single one of our meetings or any of the events that we have, in order to continue to acknowledge that everybody like within the United States, like, and other territories is within stolen land. However, because everybody is in different places, we wanted to like make this a little more specific to you, just so you get a sense of like knowing what people's land you are on. So I will drop this link in the chat box. But if y'all have time later today, I would definitely recommend y'all search where it is and whose land that you're on, because this will just get you a better sense of understanding why it's important for us to be able to recognize that, like, yes, UC Berkeley is an institution, but like also like, you know, UC Berkeley has also had Native, they still have Native folks who have like passed away, so folks' ancestors like that they're using and keeping as within a museum, right? So like that's not okay, and like just continuing to acknowledge that, like, yes, like we're the #1 public university, but like there's still a lot of things that this university is doing that continues to harm folks within our community. So just making sure that we continue to inform ourselves on how to be better allies is one step to continue to, you know, we'll be better allies. I'll just drop this there.
Okay, thank you for that. So will we be doing the land acknowledgement?
Oh, I was not gonna read it because that one's really specific to UC Berkeley, and no, like not a lot of people are there, but let me pull it up.
Thank you.
In the meantime, as Jenny pulls that up, again, we wanted to thank you all for joining us during this Q&A. We had a bunch more questions that we couldn't get to, but that's why we hope that y'all would join us for the rest of our virtual content this week. So we'll be participating in Admit Week from April 20th to 24th. Every single day, Bridges will be doing content from 12 to 1 p.m. But the other recruitment and retention centers have programming throughout the week as well, that we hope y'all will check out our events, not only on the Admit Week website, but on Bridges Facebook and Instagram, so y'all can follow us there. Also, we have a link, as I mentioned, for y'all to fill out a feedback form, and at the bottom of that link there's the social media of each of the recruitment and retention centers, so y'all can find out more about their events there. And then Jenny, once we finish the land acknowledgement, I'm going to go ahead and give everyone more information about all the forms in the chat.
I can't pull it up for some reason.
I can do the land acknowledgement.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, just briefly, it is acknowledging that the Bay Area, specifically UC Berkeley, sits on Huichin territory of the Chochenyo Ohlone people, and that we are guests at this region. We are guests here at this area, and so we begin our meetings, begin hopefully our classes, as they should be, with land acknowledgements. That way we are not continually trying to erase the people of this place. As Jenny mentioned, all land is native land. Please use the link to find where you're at. Thank you.
Thank you, Roman. Okay, and so again, we'd like to thank y'all. I understand that the feedback form isn't working, so I'll just go ahead and type out, send the direct link so that y'all can fill it out. So that's not the 10 URL, but I'll go ahead and fix that for later, but y'all can go ahead and use that link for now. Something else is that Bridges will be providing a mentorship program, an info session we have on Tuesday, and then the mentorship program sessions will be on Wednesday and Thursday. So y'all can RSVP here. I'll go ahead and just paste this in. So that's the 10url.com/bridges-mentorships-program. And then lastly, if you're participating with us throughout the week, you can go ahead and fill this out now or wait until later. But Bridges also collects the information of our students through this form called SAPEP. And we would ask that y'all please fill that out once you're done, completed with your participation in Admit Week. And our contact information is on there if y'all have any questions about that as well. Yeah, Daisy, you want to go ahead and close this off?
Yeah. So again, thank you everyone for coming to this live Q&A. You know, the panelists and also the students, the newly admitted students. Again, congratulations on your acceptance. We are so happy for you. We know that this is such a big milestone for you and your family and your community. So again, we're so happy. Be proud. Again, just a quick plug in, a lot of our RRCs and Bridges, we're going to be having mentorship programs. Please sign up. We weren't able to answer some of your questions, but we will be able to do so if you RSVP, come in and be a part of our mentorship programs, right? So yes, again, thank you everyone, and have a good evening. Take care.